So again, in this meeting, where we want to focus is first on USDM importer. I think most of you knows about USDM. So USDM for Dummies. USDM, it aims to establish a standardized machine-readable model for representing the definition of clinical study. So that's, to me, really the standard format for interoperability between systems when you have clinical study data, ensuring interoperability and consistency across your different trial applications, processes, and so on. I do expect to see USDM more and more widely used as it facilitates the reuse, it supports regulatory compliance, and enhances a lot the collaboration. So moving with the new release that will come. So today the current release is release 3, which was published last year. It's at the end, it aligns with ICH M11. At the end, it's a JSON file, a JSON model, which includes all your study components, such as study design, eligibility criteria, objectives, endpoints, arms, and so on. So all the topics and the element that you have already in OpenStudyBuilder. As said, we will have USDM v4. I put, yes, the public review is closed, then we should have soon a final release. I don't know if in the call everyone knows when it's going to come.
So that's the suspense today. It is being completed, but there's the migration is the last step from what I hear.
So OSB generate already USDM. If you go into OpenStudyBuilder, you will see for a study, you can generate easily a USDM file. What we are looking at, it's really taking what you see here. We took a study from Alexion, which is on the CDISC GitHub, and which has been proposed in the GitHub as it includes a biomedical concept. We took this file, and the idea was really to try to import it in OpenStudyBuilder. We see a lot of value in having a USDM importer. First, not only complete the bidirectional workflows we can already export to USDM, but also we see that as an opportunity to preload in OpenStudyBuilder some legacy study. If you take some legacy study, and we see more and more through AI easiness to generate USDM file from legacy study using different data sources and protocols. And then with that, I think it could also be used for a fast track migration from a legacy SDR into OpenStudyBuilder. So really what we see that not only it could be used to working with a new company, a new pharma company, to preload some legacy study, to do some testing or training, but as well to fast track in the future the migration. Of course, there are two aspects into that, and we'll come back to that. One is to be able to load the USDM file structure. The second is the content of the file, which is more difficult to get the right content, but at least our first step and what you're going to see, and I'll come back to step 1, step 2. But here, what we are working at is really trying to get an importer where I can take a USDM file structure and I import directly what it is in this USDM. I'll hand over to Phoebe to give you a bit more explanation on the way it's done and to give a short demo. Again, this is still in progress, not released yet. The intent is to release that, of course, later on to the community. So far, it's still in progress, quite well advanced, but we do not have yet a date of delivery to the community, but that's something that you should expect to see coming in Q3. Phoebe, I hand over to you.
All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm going to take you through the USDM importer, what was done, and the process flow. So the first step is that I have a Python script, and this script begins with importing essential libraries. And the first step is study creation. So for the study creation, we have a function that goes through the USDM JSON file, reads it as an input, and extracts study identifiers such as the study titles, the official and the short title from the SDM file, and uses them to post as a new study to the API. And what we get is we get the unique study UID from this front end, and we can use the study UID throughout the script because every other step that is involved in this USDM import is that we need to create study definitions, and each step requires the study UID to be there first, and then we can use downstream. The second step is study patch. Now, what study patch does is that it updates the study high-level metadata, and this could include the registry ID, the ct.gov ID if it's present, study phase, trial phase, population size, from the study. So it goes through the USDM JSON file, looks through the population section, looks through the identifier section, and tries to get this information, puts it and pushes it and patches it, And once this is done, then we, in the front end, we see that we have a section of this information that is populated, and we're missing, then it means at the moment it was not there for that protocol, or it's not there in that USDM file as well. And then the next step is now posting different study definition sections. Now here it could be objectives and the connected endpoints, so primary objectives and the primary endpoints, or secondary objectives and the secondary endpoints. And then we go and post the AMPs. We get the study AMPs from the USDM file. We also get to post the study epoch, the study elements, and the study epoch are very linked with visits because for studies we want to know within a certain period what will happen and what visits will be done and what assessments will also be done. So there's a close link between visits and epochs, and these are looped through. It's a series of a loop, and then this is pushed to the front end as well. We also have criteria, and so for objective endpoints and criteria, first with OSB, first key step is to have them as templates first, because at the moment, if you have interacted with OSB, you know that some things require template or placeholders for it. So for this USDM, because everything is different and it's a bit, I want to say one of the challenges at the moment, it's a bit hard to get the exact placeholder, the exact key term. And so it means that how the script works at the moment is that each text is now just pushed as a template. And therefore, if the criteria is that the subject should be at least 18 years of age, then this whole text goes as the template first. And then now what the script does is that it creates the template, gets the template UID, and then we come use it at the study section to be able to post it within the study that he had created. And yeah, so the script at the moment does the epochs, objective endpoints, visit posting. Also, we have the activity posting, and the activity section here also looks through the activities that we have. Do they have biomedical concepts? If they do have biomedical concepts, then we go to check at the front end, are these biomedical concepts or the activities, that's how they are defined in OSB. Are they in front end? If they're there, or any word, they have like a similarity in either terms or wording, then we take that activity concept instead of having to create a new one, and then we take the UID associated with that and post it within study activities. And I think it would be great if I showed you how this looks like now on the front end. So Pascal, is it okay if I share, or do I just
please share on your side? Yes.
All right. I'll start sharing my screen, and please let me know if you can see it.
Not yet, but it's coming, I think. Yes, we see it.
All right. Okay, so one study that there are 3 that I have been able to upload so far, and the first one is this one about diabetes, the studies about diabetes, and this is how the study title section looks like, and the short title part of it as well. This can be found here, and this is the structure of this file in JSON format, but this is how I'm able to push it on this side. I can extract the clinical trial government ID and post it here as well. Study properties, these are the part where I spoke about the metadata patching. So you can find the term that is for study type, post it, the trial type. If it's null at the moment, then it wasn't there in the USDM, because not every USDM has every detail for that study, or some are null if it's not there, but we have like placeholders, or they'll be missing at the moment. Yeah. The study structure is the arms that it has, the labels. One was an observational arm. For this study, it was observational arm, both of them. We have nothing under branches at the moment and cohorts, but for epochs, which was there, I could be able to extract. We have the screening epoch, treatment 1, then because they had 2 arms, you move from treatment 1, to treatment 2. So there's a washout phase, and then individuals move to treatment 2, and then there's a follow-up period. And this also is similar to the elements point of view, where at screening there's no treatment, and then when they're at arm 1, that is treatment 1, then the washout period is also treatment because they had an active drug, and therefore it's the washout period part. Then we have this other arm called gluc, and then the follow-up. And I'm able to link epochs, elements, and visits, and be able to post them so that we have the visit type as screening, and then those related to treatment. And I'm able to also get the study duration and post it as well. The criteria, like I mentioned, what happens first is that we go to library. It goes and creates under concepts, under syntax templates, what is the criteria, and then it will post the inclusion criteria here as user defined. First of all, get the UID, and then put the same for exclusion. It will post it as templates under user defined, get the UID, and then now I'm able to go back to studies with the script under define studies and get to post now the criteria, either as inclusion criteria. And if the text is too long, now this is some of the challenges in that the inclusion criteria, I think there's a maximum limit to the character. So if it has this, it means that the text is too long, it's greater than 200 characters, I think, and it appears like this. Same to exclusion criteria. If it's too long, then it has this, but they are able to be posted. The same criteria is used for study purpose, where objectives first are created using a template and posted here. We have primary objective if it's there, and then secondary objective, and then all this will come and be posted with endpoints. The script loops through the primary objective and post the primary endpoint related to that. And then this is posted here. We have study activities. What the script does first is that it goes to libraries, checks if under the section where there were activities, say here, are these activities present in front end? If it's there, it will try get the UID. The activities, we find them under concepts, activities. Therefore, it searches through the activity names. If it's there, then it will take that UID, because now I'll have the activity group and the activity subgroup. Else, because these are either old USDMs that at the moment do not have activity groups that I can find in the front end. For example, discharge from CRU is an activity, but because at the moment I'll have to push information from the USDM JSON file, what happens is I create an activity group or activity subgroup under the name pending confirmation. And if it's there, for instance, this laboratory assessments, if it's there, body measurements such as weight, vital signs, depending on what is there in the USDM, then they're not something that is created. I just get them from the library, and they have the sponsor as the library, else they'll have the requested as the library. And You can be able to see high-level view of this here, where you get to see the title page, schedule of activities. This I'll talk about in the next slide, in that it comes under the challenges at the moment. What I'm finding as the challenge of posting USDM at the moment is that I cannot find in USDM what is the schedule of activity title, because this is very important when you're posting under activities. Right now, everything just looks like it's subject-related information. However, we should have things like adverse events. We should have things like safety, efficacy as the schedule of activity group term. And this is one of the challenges. But this is one USDM that I've been able to post. And if you are able to come here, there are others like 990215 and 4099. And I'm still trying to refine the script to be better, but this is it with regards to USDM. And I think, Pascal, you could share the screen for the next. You can see my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. So this is the Python script that I'm using. At the moment, it starts, like I said, it's done bitwise. So that first we post the study, and this is how it looks. It will patch it, get the brief study title, the official study title, the brief study title, get it from the title section of the USDM JSON file that I showed. This is the payload for the study. It will come and post it here. I'm not sure what's happening. All right. Yeah, it will come post it there. And then the part for map study population, it goes and checks under population within the USDM, what is the therapeutic area. I go try match it with like the code list. Oh my goodness. There's a lag of sorts, right? All right, yeah, so this is how the script looks like, but I'm not sure why I cannot. Okay. Other things are like map identification from the identified, gets the NCT code. It also posts that if it's there. Yeah, that's the first section. And then as I scroll down, it will now go to, yes, it will go to endpoints and do the same. This is the payload for objectives, and then the payload for endpoints, because they should be looped through at the same time. So if it's there, it will either tell you, also I have put in logging information. If it's there, it will get it. Else it will tell you if there's an issue with the upload or something, so that you check through. And these are just terms that are either for primary or for secondary, because at the moment they were either hard-coded into the API level or the front end, I want to say. So this is the code for primary and this is the code for secondary. And because we can only have primary or secondary, this is how the script checks for that. And other things, it will go in and try to be more dynamic with checking for these codes.
Thank you, Phoebe. Yeah. I think would be good, let me share again, if you speak about the achievement challenges, next step you see on that.
Yes. All right, so I've already spoken about study activities and how that loop process is. So I'll just go to the challenges. One of it was getting the schedule of activity group terms. And this is truly important when you're posting about activities and getting the overall schedule of activities, to be able to share it even as a Word document, because that's how we see it in a protocol point of view. You'd want to know what's happening when and why, and what is about demography, what is information about laboratory. But at the moment, the activities are not linked to a greater term of sorts. Therefore, I'm not able to group them well. The other step would be either once you've uploaded the USDM to front end, then you edit the terms in the front end while you're seeing it. But I mean, if you have a huge list which has like 100 activities that are already posted, then having to edit this for every activity is a bit too manual of a task. So that's one of the challenge. Second was that only biomedical concepts that are found in front end will have this thing called the instance class. And why this is important is that it enables us to be able to map information, or we are able to get the SDTM mapped codes or the SDTM parameters, which is important in the analysis point of having clinical trial data, or when you're programming. It's important to know what parameters are there for labs, what parameters are there for vital signs. So if I create an activity and have something like pending confirmation or to be determined group term, then I'm not able to get the instance class for this just yet. And that's a bit of a challenge when you want at the end to have this USDM be able to also go to the next level, which is SDTM mapping and analysis, Adams code, and finally maybe generate TFL shells as well. And the last one is about deduplication, which is a scenario where I found if I've created a template and I want to inactivate it and create another one with the same term, but maybe under a different category, say inclusion, and previously it was exclusion, because every USDM is a bit different and they have different namings for either inclusion or exclusion. Then if I inactivate one and call the new UID, for instance, criteria template 00981, it goes and brings the 951, which is the previous one, I guess because the API system is created such that there is no duplicates of terms, so it will either match text before it brings, the UID that you're calling. And now what that does is that the biggest challenge is if such a case is present, then the data gets categorized in a different area where it's not meant to be. If you want the data to be under inclusion, then at the moment, the 3 or the 4 are under exclusion because of that kind of deduplication. So that was what I've experienced so far, but I'm trying to refine the script a bit, and maybe by the time it's time to publish it or make it public, it will be better refined. So that is it from my side.
Thank you so much, Phoebe, and thanks, Marius, for supporting Phoebe as well. Few takeaways. So we see really a way to import legacy study in OSB, and that would have a lot of value. USDM is really to us a useful framework for structuring study elements and importing that in OSB. So that's what we really want to do, is to take that to the next step. Of course, what we see and working on different study, that what we can address today, it's really bring the content of USDM as best as we can in OpenStudyBuilder, but we see as well when we take legacy study, a lot of data issues, because of course legacy study are sometimes quite old study. They are not ICHM 11 compliant, and the level of standard was not the same. So we see really that there is a need, if we want to pursue this route and to be able to ingest really legacy study at the same time, to start to work on data harmonization using multiple source. We started with clinicaltrial.gov, but you don't have everything in clinicaltrial.gov. So the overall idea, and once we have completed the USDM import that you see here as phase 1, for us, it's really to start on phase 2, and we start to do some POC on that, to have a more agentic AI approach to harmonize content before we create the USDM. So let's say you would have different registry, different documents. It's hard to really bring all those information and to have a semantic agent so that you can find a snowbed term, any concept term, bring that as closer as possible to the closer standard, so that we have a USDM of good quality that we can import. So that the next steps we see once we have completed this USDM import.